So the NFL season is officially back in full swing after last night's Bills versus Rams game. The Bills looked really good. The Rams looked like they were still, sleeping and getting over that Super Bowl win. They did not look good whatsoever. But Josh Allen balled out. He put up some points for the Bills. Stephon Diggs helped out my fantasy team, which is always appreciated to, all my fantasy players out there on my roster. But I want to discuss the biggest concern that I currently have for the Packers coming into this Week 1 game versus the Minnesota Vikings. I discussed it a little bit on my Packers-Vikings preview video, but I decided I wanted to go into a little bit more depth today on this concern that I could have. It's not necessarily going to be a problem, but it's one of the things that if there was a problem, this is where I could see it being a problem for the Packers. So when we look at this Packers offensive line, as we've been talking all week, there are the uncertainties as to who's going to be starting, partly because of the injuries that are still being healed completely, or the players still getting fully back from. David Bakhtiari, his ACL. Elgton Jenkins, his ACL. Clearly, when you have 40% of your O-line, we don't know if they're going to play, and they're the two best players on our offensive line. That's a little bit of a problem. If not, I think we could be okay. And we saw Elgton Jenkins and David Bakhtiari. Both of them were limited at practice both Wednesday and Thursday, and in a few hours, I'll be putting out my final injury report video whenever the Packers put out the injury report, and hopefully we'll see some more positive signs. Maybe not. It could take until Sunday until I really know who's going to be playing come Sunday for the Packers. Of course, we are facing Zadarius Smith this week. Considering he was with us last year and the years prior, it was going to be odd, no matter what, to see him on the Vikings. But then earlier this week, as we covered, that he came out seemingly was not happy with how the Packers treated him after he got surgery. There seemed to be some issues between him and the Packers from his point of view, and he seems ready to get his revenge now come Sunday in Minnesota. And one of the reasons he said he chose the Vikings is because he will get to play the Packers twice a year. And I discussed the other day, Matt LaFleur said that it's they may not have seen things the exact same way, so who knows exactly what happened. But Zadarius Smith will be here facing off against the Packers on Sunday, and regardless as to whether or not this Bakhtiari and Elgton Jenkins play, either way it could be an issue. David Bakhtiari hasn't played in a long time besides his short stint there versus the Detroit Lions where he re-injured himself. But before that, he hadn't played, since his injury's been, 20 months or so now. So he could be rusty, even if he is starting at left tackle. And then Elgton Jenkins as well, coming off an ACL injury. He could be rusty in his first game back if he is able to play. We don't even know if he is. If those guys don't play, we have Yosh Nijman at left tackle, who, if we look at his playing time last year, my plan was to bring up his stats, so let me find those real fast. So here you have Yosh Nijman in his time playing for Green Bay last year. Of course, with Bakhtiari down last year, Yosh Nijman played most of the time at left tackle. Elgton Jenkins did play a little at left tackle before he injured himself. But as we can see here, a total of 590 snaps last year for Yosh Nijman with 20 pressures allowed, 3 sacks allowed. He was pretty solid overall. You can see the PFF grade, 63.2. Not terrible, not elite, but still, I'd say a serviceable left tackle. But when you are facing off against a player like Zadarius Smith, who has been one of the better edge rushers in the NFL, we could see some issues there. We did see when Zadarius Smith was last playing in Green Bay in 2020, his full season, he played about 50-50 when it came to the left side versus the right side. So he could be lining up on the right side versus Nijman, or the left side versus potentially Royce Newman at right tackle if Elgton Jenkins isn't able to play. And then if we take a look at Royce Newman, who last year was a rookie for the Packers, now coming into year 2. Last year he started at right guard pretty much the entire season, as you can see here on the screen. 1,081 snaps. PFF did not love what he did. 55.7, not the best kind of grade there. You can see a few different games in here where the grades were pretty poor. 44, 44, 41, 43. So overall at guard, he allowed 6 sacks and 32 pressures. The Packers, though, seem to like him at right tackle, considering if Elgton Jenkins doesn't play right tackle come Sunday, Royce Newman seems to be the guy who is going to be there at right tackle. We saw Zach Tom, who was the Packers' 4th-round rookie this year from Wake Forest, play very well at right tackle, but the Packers seem to have more trust in Royce Newman. He does have another year here. He's experienced at right guard at least. We'll see what happens if he's put at right tackle. And not only do the Vikings have Zadarius Smith, they have Daniel Hunter, who's a very, very solid edge rusher as well. And they also have Harrison Phillips, defensive tackle, who last year by PFF was graded as the 15th best defensive tackle. So the Packers offensive line definitely have a lot to handle this week coming into Minnesota. And we'll see if they're able to, keep Rodgers safe, because clearly when he's getting pressured constantly, that never helps. The Packers do typically do a good job of getting the ball out very quickly. So let's say this game starts and the Packers are not able to contain or not able to protect Rodgers. I would expect more things to just get the ball out as fast as possible. If you're watching the game last night with Josh Allen, there were lots of times where Aaron Donald was getting pressure, but Josh Allen was getting rid of the ball so quickly that he was able to sort of ward off the pressure that Aaron Donald typically brings. So we'll see exactly what happens there, and it really depends on who's starting at offensive line, which we'll find out Sunday sometime before the game. And today, maybe we'll get a little bit of an idea as to if Bakhtiari and Jenkins are playing. Maybe not, though. We'll see if they're limited or exactly what's going on there. Personally, I would be shocked if both of them start, just because of the fact that they're both coming off of these ACL injuries. People have mentioned the turf in Minnesota. Matt LaFleur said in his press conference they're not really too worried about that. But I will be a little shocked. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know what's going to happen. It's sort of just a guess right now if you're trying to predict who's actually going to start at O-line. But that is what I wanted to talk about in today's video. If you guys didn't check out my new NFL podcast, I'll leave a link down below. Put out a 30-minute episode 1 yesterday on YouTube, so feel free to go check that one out. But that's all I have for today. We'll see the Packers play with the Vikings in just 2 days, which is very exciting. We're almost here for the Packers' first matchup of the year. But that is all I have for this video, and I'll see you guys next time.